What's up guys, Phantom here, back with episode 73 of my F1 2019 career mode as we are going to Spielberg for the Austrian Grand Prix for round 9 of season 4 here. As you can see, we have a engine and a durability upgrade as we are still 4th in the comparison of car, still behind Racing Point. As you can see here, we still have that drag upgrade coming in the next round as we head to qualifying.
Thank you for joining us once again for today's qualifying session. Sit back, relax, and enjoy what we hope will be a fantastic contest for pole position. So, could be a tasty one today then, Ants. We've got all the ingredients, that's for sure. Treacherous conditions, an ever-changing racetrack, and one or two cars just behind the pace setters who maybe, just maybe, fancy a bit of an upset after a good performance from them in free practice.
And the question has to be, of course, what is that circuit going to look like in 10 to 15 minutes from now? If you think the rain's going to get worse, then you have to be straight out when the lights go green to find whatever grip you can. But if it eases off, then you're better off waiting, saving the tyres, and going out at the perfect moment. The other thing that comes with these conditions? Traffic, and the lack of visibility that comes from sitting in the spray. It's going to be a constant problem, and I expect to see a lot of frustrated drivers with ruined laps out there today.
As we start out here in Q2 here at Austria, as we almost lose the back end there in the penultimate corner, but we managed to keep it, as we will start our flying lap here at Austria, which is not the most technical racetrack you'll ever head to. It's really 9 corners, but they count this little left kink there as turn 2 when it's really not a corner at all, as we are coming through the final corner here with qualifying 2 over. See if we've been making it through, and will we? Yes, we will. We will make it in 7th, as our teammate Ricardo has also made it in 8th. As we will head to Q3 here now, as we have about a minute left in the session, as we get a little loose there too, as that penultimate corner really is a lot different from any of the rest of the corners there, as you can be planted at the rest of the corners, but you will still get pretty loose or slide at that corner there. So you have to be really careful going through here, as I've taken a little bit tentative so I don't slide or lose the back end, as Lewis Hamilton has set the fastest lap of qualifying. As we come across the line, we will be 4th behind Leclerc, Verstappen, and Hamilton, as our teammate Ricardo is down in 9th position there, as we have started on the 2nd row for a couple of times now, as we will move on to the race.
Beautiful backdrop to a motor race. We're here in the Styrian Mountains, of course, and they've watched over some cracking races throughout the history of this Grand Prix. Controversy, of course, think back to 2002, but also great joy. Do you remember Niki Lauda's historic home victory in 1984? It's a short lap here in Spielberg with just 10 corners, 7 rights and 3 lefts, making up the total distance of 2.6 miles. And expect to see a lot of cars running wide today, especially through the last corner, as the wet conditions make the cars skittish through the downhill sections. It's not going to be plain sailing for our drivers today, although with the sky falling as it is, perhaps sailing isn't too far from the truth. And Anthony Davidson, could be a wet one today. Great to have you with us. What are your thoughts?
It is a touch damp, isn't it? Or as a driver, there are 3 big things to worry about when racing in these kind of conditions: standing water, tyre temperature, and visibility. Judging distance to the cars around you is really tricky when you're driving through the vast amounts of spray that these wet weather Pirelli tyres kick up.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Hamilton, Oldtimer, Sergio Perez, and Sainz, Norris, Ricciardo, Albon, and Sebastian Vettel, Grosjean, Butler, Lance Stroll, and Raikkonen. Bottas, Kvyat, Nico Hülkenberg, and George Russell. Magnussen and Lucas Weber completes the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
As we sit here on the grid in P4, it is absolutely pouring it down here at Austria as the fire lights are on and they are out, as we get a pretty average start there, as it looks like Hamilton's got a pretty decent jump on Verstappen there, as we're going to be very, very cautious coming into turn 1 here. We do not want to plow into the side of either Verstappen or Hamilton there, as we look inside outside on Hamilton, as now we're going to get into a slipstream, as there will not be any DRS for this race here, as we come around the outside of Hamilton and Verstappen, and then we get squeezed out there by Verstappen there. But we were able to keep ahead of Hamilton, as I think there was just a yellow flag because we are all so slow there through that hairpin, as we come down the hill, as we almost run into the back of Verstappen there, as we lose the back end there, as that will be a theme in the race here. As you can see, one of the Williamses gotten out of line and jumped 3 or 4 positions there, as he's ahead of his teammate, whichever one that is. But losing that back end will be a very normal circumstances for the beginning of this race, as Leclerc set the fastest lap there. As we lose the back end, we almost end up in the wall there, as we really were struggling for grip here in the full wet condition here, as Perez is catching up to us, but we lock up just a slight bit as we run out wide there, and Perez will go toe-to-toe with us, as we're just struggling for grip out here, as we will keep the corner and the positions for now. But as you can see here, he is right behind us, not giving us any breaks there, as we will make a mistake into the penultimate corner, as we'll slide out wide there, as once again we just lose the back end. We just have no grip, as Hamilton will come past us, and Norris too, as he is really gonna box us in here, as we are able to keep to the outside of him and manage to get past him as well. But Hamilton, we also need to get past as well, because he will hold us up here. As you can see, as Perez is already basically gone already here, as we're trying to go around the outside of Hamilton here, as we have gotten the traction finally out of that corner there, as we will have the inside there, as we will slide out wide now, as we will have to give him some space for the inside for this left-hander, as we pretty much pinch him to the inside there, as we will able to keep our momentum up and keep the position there. But Bottas is out of the race here on lap 5, as you can see is at the back of the grid, as I think he was losing power earlier, as he was just really slow there. As you can see, he was at the very back there, as his engine finally let go. But at the end of lap 6, Perez has made a bold strategy and will pit for enters now, as it is really starting to let out now, as at the beginning of lap 7 here I began to give instructions to my team to box me this lap here, as I'm looking through all my stuff to make sure it was the right strategy call here as we come in at the end of lap 7, as I get on the inside grass, which bolts me to the outside grass, and luckily not to speed also into the pit lane there, as our teammate apparently is coming into the pits as well, as we will be double stacking here, as we were able to get out there luckily, and a gap there between Hamilton and whoever was behind him, as we will go and rejoin back into 7th here. But Magnussen is still out on his wet tires, as we're going to go around the outside of him, and he's going to absolutely just put us on the curb there, as he has no spatial awareness there, as again once the AI squeeze you out again, as wasn't very too happy, so I'm going to squeeze him out onto the curb as well on the exit, as Perez ahead of us has set the fastest lap, so that strategy looks as it works, as he is really super far away, as Butler and Grosjean have set fastest laps of the race there, as Leclerc has also set the fastest lap, as we lose the back end on that curb as well, as we're still struggling for grip mightily here, as it is now right in that condition where it is just heavy enough, light enough the rain, that you can actually get some serious grip as we set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. As you can see, we've really caught up to Perez here around the outside on lap 14 here, as we kind of bang wheel, we meet in the middle. I came down to not get run out on the curb there, as I will have the inside here for the left-hander here in the middle sector, as we have managed to keep it going well here. As you think that would be all for the race, but I'm going to get absolute tank slapper here, as I had to get off the throttle there, as Perez made another run at us, as he'll actually be more in the preferred line there, as he is ahead of us, as he will sweep around the outside of us. But with that move, he only delayed the inevitable, which was we were so much quicker than the last couple laps here, as we're going to look down the inside and we're going to make a dive bomb from about a car length back here, and we're going to be able to make it stick, not run out wide, as we were trying to get the traction down. We finally have, but as lap 18 comes across, Leclerc has set the fastest lap of the race on the last lap here, as he's stolen a point from us as he wins the Austrian Grand Prix, but is also really lightened up on the rain, as it was almost time for dry tires, but we have finished on the podium and third.
It was a tough race at times, but they've held on to take a great victory for McLaren today. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, I think it was clear what the main contributing factor out on the track was today: speed. I know it sounds like an obvious thing to say, Crofty, but fast cars win races, and we saw that today with our winner.
Our winning drivers are on their way to the podium right now. It's been a fantastic race for McLaren, that's for sure, and no doubt they'll be celebrating tonight. And now let's take a look at the driver's standings. Charles Leclerc, currently leading the championship standings, extends his lead even further with this result. Some amazing talent out on the track today, but Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
My driver of the day was Devon Butler. He did an amazing job pushing through the field, cementing his growing reputation for ruthlessly running down those top positions.
Let's move on to the constructors. McLaren continue to increase their gap at the top. Well, Ant, an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.